Hello, I'm back. I feel like I haven't been in any of your videos for ages.
Oh, I think it's been like just the last two. I wouldn't get overexcited.
Okay, maybe I just haven't been in any of the ones you
Sorry,
filmed.
this can be like, boom, big reveal, Claudia returned.
Yeah.
If you want.
You ruined it now.
I mean, I think in real time, it's probably been a month.
Yeah.
I think in the channel's time, it's been 2 videos.
Okay, alright, well anyway. Glad you missed me, people.
Yeah, please feel free to tell Claudia you've missed her terribly. So today we're going to talk about why being disabled makes me a better parent. Not in terms of being better than Claudia or better than someone else, just me personally, how it helps me to improve my parenting. Because I know a lot of you who watch my videos have disabilities or chronic illnesses and have said, oh, I am kind of nervous about my future as a potential parent and I don't really see that reflected out there in the world and I want to know more about it, like what's it actually like? It seems kind of scary. And I definitely thought that way before becoming a mother myself. People seem to tell me it's definitely not something I can manage, but now I've actually come to realise that having disabilities is sometimes a bonus when it comes to parenting. There are many things that I can draw on from my history of having illnesses and having to cope with physical disabilities that actually make parenting and sometimes easier. Claudia is here to help me remember stuff because one of my issues is memory loss.
And to back you up.
And to back me up.
And be like, yeah,
as an impartial.
True. Am I impartial?
No.
I mean, I think you're the best.
I trailed off there.
I think you're the best mama in the world, so.
Oh, I think you're the best mummy in the world. Oh, I think we had the best baby in the world.
I know. All babies
Sorry,
are
other
good,
babies.
but
All
you
babies
know,
are
like,
good babies.
our baby is pretty great.
Yeah, she's also here because I'm feeling quite anxious today because we've decided to go full force on getting over Jessica's lockdown agoraphobia by going to Tenerife.
We're gonna get some winter sun.
In a week.
Yeah, you get over your agoraphobia, I'll get over my SAD.
Yeah, I say in a week. It's literally tomorrow when this video goes out.
Yeah, but it's a week from when we're filming it.
Yeah.
Staying in a villa, like our own little private space. I'm gonna rent a car.
It's gonna be like being in our house, but our house is just somewhere warmer.
Yeah.
So first off, let's start with what my disabilities are and how they affect me. So, I have 2 genetic disabilities. One of them's called hereditary neuropathy with liability to pressure palsies.
I love how you tried to say that really fast, like.
Well, I don't think anyone cares.
That's true.
So
it'll come up on screen.
I don't think they're gonna remember. But the point is, it affects my nerves and it means that I can paralyse parts of my body for certain lengths of time and they can come back. But also I have a lot of lack of sensation.
You've done you've done like specific videos about it.
I have specific videos that explain it. And also I have a thing called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which affects my connective tissue, means that I'm kind of quite floppy. And it also infects my organs in a variety of ways. Also have videos about that. But how does it affect me when I'm looking after a baby? I'm not particularly strong, I'm not particularly dexterous, I'm not particularly fast. When I'm feeding him, I don't actually feed him, he feeds himself, but
he doesn't completely feed himself.
He doesn't completely feed himself.
She exaggerates his abilities a lot of the time.
I exaggerate everything all the time.
You do.
But when he's feeding himself, it's a joint effort because I scoop his food onto a spoon and then leave the spoon in the bowl. He picks up the spoon, eats off it, and then either puts it back into my hand or drops it on the floor. And in the times when he drops it on the floor, I can't tell it's been dropped until it's been on the floor for a while and Claudia goes, Jessica!
That's like the 5th spoon. Yeah, like, I can see it happening in real time. I'm like, where you're just like, and he's like, and he's not exactly that fast. Sometimes he is, but most of the time he's like, and then you're like 2 seconds later.
Yeah, reaction speed's not the fastest. My nerves don't tend to send any messages to my brain in any kind of good time. Yeah, we'll get to the pluses, sorry.
Are you listing all the negatives?
I was listing negatives.
Right.
Well, not negatives, just ways in which it affects my parenting.
Or ways, or things you were worried would impair your parenting.
Things I was worried would impair my parenting. I was also worried that I wouldn't have a lot of energy, I'd have chronic fatigue, and also because I have migraines and chronic pain, that would really kind of hamper me a lot. when it came to looking after a child.
You were worried you were going to like fall over whilst carrying him?
Yeah,
That was a big one when he
I was
was
worried
like...
about that one. When he was a teeny tiny baby and didn't bounce as much as...
Well, before he was born, you
does
worried
now.
about that a lot.
Yeah, I thought that, oh my god, I'm going to drop the baby. What if I faint? What if this? What if that? So far, I've only fallen over once while carrying him. And because I fall in slow motion, I managed to fall and like turn. This is the speed at which I actually fall, but still can't stop myself for some stupid reason. But yeah, during that fall, I managed to turn myself, and he just like rolled off and thought it was hilarious. So it was fine. Should we move on to the good stuff?
No, you haven't listed all your impairments.
I haven't listed my impairments. And I'm also deaf, which I thought was going to be a really big difficulty. But while Claudia was pregnant, I got some swanky new hearing aids from GN Hearing, which we're going to be discussing later in the video. But I've got to tell you all about it, because I tell everyone about my new hearing aids because they're really great. And I'm very impressed with them.
Even though she leaves them around the house everywhere, even though they have a nice little case that you're meant to put them back in and they get recharged. That could be another thing that you're quite...
I'm really messy?
Yeah, but I don't know, it's not a disability.
The good stuff.
The good stuff.
I had to write a list. And I have to say, in writing the bullet points of this, it really made me happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I kind of boosted myself. So I hope that anyone watching this video also gets boosted and feels quite happy. So first of all, paralysing and then regaining movement is something that I've been through a lot. So since I've had to, as an adult, regain the ability to walk or learn to grasp things, I think that means that I'm much more sensitive to the difficulties of learning to do these things than when you've just kind of working off a long remembered memory of doing something.
I mean, I doubt anyone, hardly anyone, unless they have gone through rehabilitation, remembers how they first learned to walk. I don't.
I very much, very clearly remember what it feels like to have my hand be in that exact position where my fingers did that thing where I could get the first two around it, and then you're like, what do you do with these other two?
I wonder
How do they flip the spoon the wrong way?
A baby feels as much frustration as like an adult like yourself who is retraining. Because like to know, you have more knowledge of what you should do.
The right way and the wrong way.
Because I would say like babies are pretty patient most of the time.
But I think my first-hand adult knowledge helps to give me a lot of patience and
definitely.
Understanding.
And also not to interfere, which is really important.
Yeah.
Obviously we already follow the whole Montessori principle and the guide of, you know, observing your child and allowing them to get a bit frustrated and not interfering. Don't like just give them the toy, like let them grab it themselves, because that's when they're actually going to learn. View on life as a disabled person has allowed you to implement that even more so, because you kind of have it from personal experience as opposed to just reading a book and a guide like I have and being like, okay, I'll do that, I'll just observe him and not interfere. It's really easier said than done. But when you're like, actually I've been that person and it's not helpful if someone just gives me the spoon, and I don't want someone to just spoon feed me, and I don't want someone to just pass me my cup. Like I want to be able to do it myself. Now,
like I have to know my limits, and even if I do try and go over them quite frequently, I do have to know them really, and I have to know to ask for help. So I think that helps me with Rupert to be aware of his limitations and to observe him. And then I was thinking about myelination. So when babies are born, they can't actually feel every part of themselves, which is quite an interesting idea. And they go through a process of something called myelination, which spreads from their inside out. It's kind of their nervous system switching on, if you think about it that way.
And it usually goes from top down.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just as black and white as that, but like, you know, the head's closest, isn't it? And then so they can feel their face quite well, they can feel their hands before they can feel their feet.
They're what we would kind of describe as a bit clumsy, and I am a clumsy adult. So I empathise.
Does not
with
help
him.
that Jessica's always wearing like quadruplet petticoats and a massive skirt, and then we have a lot of low shells.
It's a crash balloon when I fall over.
Oh, when you fall over. Yeah. Yeah, but if you didn't have such a big skirt, you wouldn't knock into things that made you wobble and then fall over. So
I would knock into things anyway, but then when I fell over, there would be nothing to protect my hips and my delicate little knees. Currently, Rupert slightly is under me at the capability level, and at some point he will match me, and then he will overtake me. But I think because right now we're a little closer than we would be if I wasn't in any way disabled, I think I can just empathise quite well with him and his struggles.
Like Jessica's much more patient with him in terms of like when he's eating, for instance. Like by the time there's a third spoon on the floor, I'm like, I'm done. Like I cannot anymore. Whereas Jessica's like, oh, we're down to like we've got 3 7 spoons. It's fine. There's food everywhere, and now he's shouting. His water's like tipped over, and he wants more broccoli. But I didn't cook enough broccoli. But he's still got loads of other stuff still available to him, and I'm like, just can you eat this? And he's like, no. That's not a good impression of him.
That's not how it goes.
No, he does bang his fists on the table now, though, doesn't he? Anyway, Jessica does pretty much does all the food. I do the food prep. This is another thing about sharing. Yeah, sharing like parental responsibility. Sharing parental responsibility.
Yes, this is another thing about sharing parental responsibilities.
Because I know what your limitations are, and you also know your limitations. But I'm also aware of mine, like in terms of like I don't have as much patience as Jessica. We divvy out like the things we're best at.
Yeah.
So, and also the things that I can do, like I can only breastfeed. I mean, sometimes we're like, we wish she could. It would be, I think you'd be way better at it.
So much.
I mean, it's not like I'm not bad. I'm not good. It's not like I'm bad
You're not
at
bad
it.
at it.
But I get quite distracted, and Jessica has to hunt me
chase
down.
you down the garden with a baby.
He's hungry. Yeah, not so much anymore, but like in the early
more
days.
in summer when you're off doing stuff, and I was like, I need your boob.
Yeah, I know. I mean, even today, it was really sweet. Rupert was like signing. This also relates to one of her disabilities that helps with parenting. Yeah, we were sat in a nursery. He looked at me like square in the eye, went quiet, and then he was like, and I was like, wee wee, because this is wee wee. Well, when he does a wee, when we open his napkin and we go, wee wee, wee wee, do you need a wee wee? I put him on the changing table, whipped everything off, I went, wee wee, and he just stared at me like, nah. And I was like, yeah, I mean, we did just change your nappy. I didn't think you would need one. Sat him down again, and he was like, and I was just like, Jessica, he's signing to me, I don't know what he's saying. She was like, he wants milk. Because it's like, milk's this.
So milk is inwards.
Yeah, and we worked out.
Is outwards.
And obviously he's only got tiny hands, so his you know, he's not like, he can't do everything.
Which then, nicely, leads on to another part of my disabilities that very much help us with our parenting. My deafness.
Well, more like your ability to sign language, I think.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Yes. So sign language means that we have a wonderful way of communicating with Rupert that we wouldn't otherwise have. And I use it with him as a language. It's not just, here are some words. Yeah, if it's just the two of us alone, then I don't use my voice with him.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is he'll accept that from Jessica, but with me, if I try and sign without talking, he just stares at me like, what?
Yeah.
You're talking.
He's not okay with that.
Yeah, probably because my signs are so atrocious. He's like, no, mother. Use your voice.
Oh. We're trying to get Walter up. And now his mum. Thanks for that, Walt.
This is a family channel.
And this seems like a perfect opportunity to talk about my hearing aids. The ReSound ones from GN Hearing. And oh yes, am I in love with them. And I have 2 sets. If you were wondering why I have hearing aids in my head and in a thing. Let's talk about the case for a minute, because one of the things that I've always found really annoying about being a hearing aid user is hearing aid batteries. Hearing aid batteries, as you would expect, are quite small. They're not sold everywhere, so they're not that easy to get hold of. You can get them from your audiologist here in the UK, but that means you have to go to your audiologist. And I only get an audiology checkup once a year, but that is not the case with the fabulous ReSound ones, because this swanky little charging case is the thing that charges the hearing aids. So all you do is take your hearing aids off at night, pop them in the case, and they charge up. The case itself isn't that heavy, so I also sometimes just pop it in my handbag if I'm like, I don't know how much I charged it. But on to the actual hearing part. I know, that's what you're actually here for. Unlike with other hearing aids, where the bulk of the interesting part is all in the back here, and then we just have a little open wire coming down, which is basically just a plastic tubing that the sound has to bounce all the way along and then comes out of a mold at the bottom and just shoots straight into your ear. What the ReSound one does, which is really interesting, is instead it has, yes, microphones at the back along with all that, you know, processing bit, and then another microphone lower down, so that's actually in your ear canal. Did you know everybody hears sound differently because it bounces around your ear differently? No two ears are alike. Much like we each have our own individual fingerprints, every ear is different. And of course, it has all of the fancy modes. I love the ReSound app on my phone because it's really easy to use. Basically, I can change very quickly between different modes. It's also a really quick and easy way that I contact my audiologist at GN Hearing, but you can use the feature to contact your own audiologist, even if they don't work for GN. And look at this, a sound enhancer. So you can be really specific and get in there. You like your bass lower? Okay, that can happen. Noise reduction, considerable. I also enjoy streaming things into my hearing aids to add that real surround sound while I'm watching things like YouTube videos. If you click your power button 3 times, you can even get to a section that allows active listen, which means that Claudia can take my phone and talk into my hearing aids. It's a bit bizarre when I do it. It's kind of a gross echo. And if you'd like to know more, you can just go to resound.com. I have to spend a lot of time on the floor. That one was good. Both because I have postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I like saying that. Or POTS. You can shorten it to POTS. Basically, it just means I get really faint and stuff if I stand up a lot. And conveniently, who else lies down on the floor a lot?
Oh,
it's
baby.
Rupert. And he loves when I lie down on the floor next to him. It also really helps him learn because he really enjoys seeing me sticking my legs up in the air.
We have found if we demonstrate like how to roll over, like it helps him.
Yeah.
And then he finds it very funny as well.
Then he does it too.
You know what we should start doing? We should start doing like full-on gymnastics and see if we can do it.
We should.
I'm doing a handstand. Just see if he
Can
do
he
it.
do a handstand?
He can't stand on his legs, but can he stand on his arms? Babies imitate, yeah? So that's why they're so desperate to start walking. Cause they're like,
Can you do a handstand?
I'm working on it.
Okay, good.
No, our house has got lovely floors. We actually got this like really, I can bring all this extra information that's really irrelevant, but we went for like the luxury under carpet like foam stuff.
Yeah, we was an argument about
carpet liner. And then we bought like really nice carpet that's like completely allergen free, like don't get dust mites living in it. You can wipe it down.
It's biscuit coloured.
Yeah, I mean this floor is like good enough for Jessica, it's good enough for Rupert. It's good
enough for the dogs.
It's good enough for the dogs.
And we did that specifically with crawling in mind.
I'm going to walk around on my hands.
We are now a family of 5.
We slept for an hour and 20 minutes.
Yay!
Very good, darling.
Well done.
You only had a nice half-hour nap this morning.
I think the gist of what we've spoken about today is it's actually a lot less scary than
you'll find
I possibly thought.
I mean, what we've learned is you find your own
way of doing things.
Your own way of doing things, and you find what your limitations are, what your baby's limitations are, what your baby's preferences are, what your preferences are. Like you basically, it's a whole learning curve for everyone. Every situation is unique. Like, I mean, we haven't had a second baby yet, but I very much appreciate that when we do, hopefully, that'll be its own learning curve in itself.
Yeah, we all have our own unique way of doing things, and we all bring our own unique values and situations to the table. And just because there's something that someone else might see as a negative within you, it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative. It might be your greatest asset when it comes to something like parenting.
There's my hair.
Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to GN Hearing for sponsoring today's video, and also my ability to hear. It's meant a lot to me. And we are very much looking forward to going on holiday, even if I'm quite scared.
Yay!
So follow us on Instagram at Jessie and Claude, where you can follow along with our travels. Your first holiday abroad, your first trip abroad.
Yeah, we're so excited, aren't we?
I know you guys are both super excited. They're desperate to go, and I'm just like, oh. Yeah, it's gonna be great.